Hello, my lovelies. It's me, author Alexandria Infante, coming to you again with a series dump. Okay, so this is the second to the last series. Like I said, I write 6 paranormal romance series. I do write some standalones, but I'll talk about those in another video. Okay, so now this series is called the Paranormal Matrimony series. And the first book is called Married to a Vampire. It's a pretty good book. And it is basically what began the Death Merchants, because Romana Escalera is a death merchant. She is the first female death merchant. And so she has a history with Harry, Killian, all of them from that series. And it spun off, the Death Merchants actually spun off from this series here because of the fact that Romana is a death merchant. So basically, the premise of the story is Romana's boyfriend is unalived. And in that unaliving, they were he was a necromancer, and like a necromancing warlock, and she was a death merchant, and they teamed up together. They fell in love. They were going to get married, and they went on a call, and on that call they were going to capture 3 rogue witches. And when they got there, a vampire showed up. And so they got the 3 witches, they had them down pat, they went to take that vampire, and all of a sudden another vampire shows up. And the necromancers in this series, they have the capacity to trance a vampire depending on that vampire's age. So the first vampire that popped in on the scene, her boyfriend Xander was able to trance him, no problem. But the second one, that was a different story. And so he was actually feral. And what in my series, what I mean by feral is the human essence that the vampire might have had, it's no longer there. Or he's gone without substance for so long that his mind, it's sort of like, I did it like, like if you went a month without sleeping, your mind would just be completely gone. Well, it's the same for the vampires in my series if they don't feed for a certain long amount of time. But I also have psychic vampires, and psychic vampires don't need to feed. I mean, they do if they want to, but they live off of human emotions. So like anger, love, lust, all of those emotions, they can feed off of that, sort of like a succubus, because the succubus has, vampire type qualities or whatever. And so the vampire who comes in, he's feral, but he's also psychic. So he didn't necessarily need to bite anyone or whatever. You get the backstory of why he was feral at that time. But anyway, so the boyfriend tries to trance him. He was like, nope. And when he tried to trance him, it snapped his mind out of this ferality that he was in, and he bit him. And basically then tossed his body aside because he heard her scream. And then when he heard her scream, it was like pretty much love at first sight. And so for 6 years, he has literally made Romana's life like, crazy, because he feeds off of those emotions. And so it looks like, so basically they throw a sheet over her boyfriend, the death merchants show up, the vampire like jets. And so she's on the hunt for him because he killed her boyfriend, or she thinks that he did. And so for 6 years they have this thingy going back and forth, and in all this time he's never tried to kill her. He's tried to do other things, but he's never tried to kill her. And so she can understand it. But anyway, because of the death of her boyfriend, she's like really distraught, and she decides to abdicate her magic, which basically means that she went to the Witches' Council and she asked them to bind the magic. And so for 6 years, her magic has been bound, and he plays these little games where he kidnaps the librarian and he sends this dude to send her a note and says, oh, if you don't show up, then I might have to unalive her. And so it's basically to play these games with her. And for 6 years, she's basically been the butt of his jokes, you may as well say. And so this series, there's 2 books in it so far. This basically the first one is Married to a Vampire, and then the second one is Vampire Marriage is Bliss. So and then the next book that comes out next year is Sephiroth, Maphis, and Drake, which are the oldest vampires that I write. Sephiroth is Spartacus. And then he's 2085. And then Draken is, he is one of the original death merchants before he was turned. And he's 3,500 years old. And then there's Stenos. And Stenos is actually the god Cois, and he is 7 millennia. So those are the oldest vampires that I write. This is a vampire series. Now you will get werewolves, warlocks, witches, all of that stuff in here too, because I don't write a series that's specifically stated to one type of supernatural, because even in the werewolves you still have vampires and everything in there. This is primarily a vamp series because Maphis is 1,500 years old and he is a vampire. He was Constantine. So I like to take myths of old, and then in a certain battle, Constantine, or the emperor of Rome, this specific emperor, he died in this battle in 71 BC. But he didn't die. He became a vampire. So check the series out. It's called Married to a Vampire, and it is at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. The print is on Amazon, but unfortunately, like I said, I still haven't figured out how to do those the print books on it's not so much doing the book, it's getting the cover right. That's what I'm having the issue with. So yeah, hopefully I'll figure it out this year, and then the print books will be over there too. But the Nook book is there, and then you can get ebook or print book on Amazon.com. Okay,